Thank you, everybody. This is the January 2022 online poetry event with Glenn Lyvers. I am very excited because this marks not only the first poetry reading in 2022 with a really great group. We have 39 poets from all over the world in here today, but it also means that we have been doing these monthly poetry readings for more than a year, and people are still coming back, so I must not be messing it up too badly. We're going to start off with Lynette Esposito.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
All right, cool. I just recently had these couple poems published. They're just for fun, and it deals with Shakespeare. So my first one is A Feral Cat Named Shakespeare. He came to us in that odd way a feline knows, a porch seat empty, an opened can of tuna on the step. His mind, a cat's mind, simply seeking warmth and food. This feral creature did not know the generosity of a back rub, the safety of a lap. He became Shakespeare, who lounged atop my many books, looked down upon me with wild feline affection, bit my toes in bed to play, and wrote a kinder story for my life with his clear, instinctive sight. He sees me better than I am, trusts me with his whole self, not like a few words silent on the shelf, but with a soothing purr. Shakespeare warms my heart. And then just for fun, I wrote When Shakespeare Wrote a Haiku. Morn at its bright birth brought light's sweet forthcoming hue, rejecting the dark. Should I read that one again? Oh, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. If you have a 3-line poem or a haiku, yes, please read it twice.
When Shakespeare Wrote a Haiku. Morn bright birth brought light's sweet forthcoming hue, rejecting the dark.
Thank you very much for that. We're going to pause just for a second to admit somebody. While that person is taking their seat, I'll go ahead and read a quick one, and then we'll move on. It's called Death Passes By. Death passes by in cars, on trains, 100 times each day he gets off at any number of stops, and people never know it. They just missed him. By a moment when a streetlight malfunctions, a moment when your brakes fail, a moment when the wheels fall off. If they only knew how a moment could change it all. Any moment, every day, death is biding his time, going about his business. He presses his oilskin jacket, morning, night, each time it wrinkles a little, always looking grand when he takes you. Death has no mustache to twirl, no vocal cords to cackle, no eyes with which to stare. His bones are not fleshy, and he is diminished by what he lacks, nerves. Missing heart. Heartless like a machine is less than a man, than a mouse, than any living thing. Death drifts an inch off the ground, sometimes flying first class, sometimes lifting off with a shuttle, leaving the earth. Death is just death, without fanfare, without rockets, without special effects. Death travels like we do, never needing a ticket to ride. Sure, stoic, often wanting more legroom. The bus stops at the hospital. Inside, 100 bowls of Jell-O shake and quiver as he picks over them. People in storage, each wait in rooms, little parking spaces, waiting for him. Easily enough, he separates the bodies from the cocoons, fruit from the pits. His scythe falls, driving with precision, often with a rattle. He lingers, sometimes silently passing by moments, by mere moments. Okay, let's move on. Thank you, everybody. Let's move on to Denise Owens.
She's muted.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thanks, Glenn. Hi, everybody. I wanted to read two poems today. One is longer, it was recently published, and then a shorter one that was published a while back. The first one is called The Mestrel, and there's a subscript, which is, there's something about the light in Provence. Forever the area has drawn artists and easels. The wind changes everything, ambling turns to rush. A couple slant into each other as they hurry. Through the square, blue sky now ashen, darkening over a woman who drags her dog leash taut past the ancient aqueduct. Store owners pull their wares indoors. Cloth skirts rugs away from us. Tourists who hover uncertain. Of the change in pace of the day, the tone picks up strength from quiet. Kindness to harsh tenor, urgent, like the wind, go home. They call out, we stare back, still, as the statues around the plaza. The seller shouts the Mestrel, nudging us from behind, like a squall at our backs, blowing the dust away along with its chill, and cleansing the air. The light beyond brightness overtakes us, like a shooting star across, a blackened sky illuminating every olive tree, every blade of grass in its path. The sun sets with a golden aura over the hills, yellowing, rice paddies and grapevines, as if painted with pollen from Van Gogh's sunflowers in the local fields. Thanks. The second one is called Snow. Dad rushed in with the morning light, swept the curtains aside, rousing us to flakes falling as we slept through our first snow. In awe we stared at the fragile stillness, so strange in a warm place, more used to hail or thunder, lightning's ferocious battle that drove us from windows to safety in the hall. We stood and marveled even then at how soundlessly it stepped into our lives, how we slept through its shy entrance, our world transformed for the day that it lasted.
Wow.
Thanks so
That was
much.
so nice. Yeah, well, thank you. We all enjoyed that. John McMullen.
All right. The backstory of the first one is that I just finished a chapbook that had as the theme, The Phoenix Rising. And this is the last poem, What Now? Every age has its challenges. Ours seem momentous. Still raging pandemic, climate change, hardening, hate-filled polarization, greater concentration of wealth, and the ones brought on by technology, ongoing elimination of jobs, wildfire spread of fake news and conspiracy theories, inability on many to gain new and necessary skills. Yet, the same technology can achieve medical breakthroughs, eliminating disease, bring the country and the world close together, eliminate environmentally damaging emissions, bring mass education benefits to the world, and allow humankind to reach undreamed quality of life. I ask the question again, do we sink into the ground like the dying phoenix and stay there, or rise again like the resurrected ones? And then a little lighter one, and baseball and life. And it's an epigram with gratitude to George Carlin for inspiration. For 50 years of my life, basketball was a passion. I played wherever and whenever I could find a game. But baseball is the national pastime, and rightly so. All of our other major sports are ruled by clocks. When the clock says the game is over, it is. But baseball is played until the game says it's over. It is scheduled for 9 innings, and an inning is for as long as teams are up without being out 3 times. But if the home team is ahead, it only goes 8.5 innings. But if it is tied after 9, the game goes on until someone wins. The longest game was 26 innings. Our lives are not on a clock, nor not as least when we can see. They are played until over. In some cases, they're shortened by accident or illness, just as games are by rain. We do know if and when we get into our late innings, but we don't know when our own game will be over. We can only hope there will be a good game, and maybe like Bobby Thompson's home run, John Lawson's perfect game, Mookie Wilson's ground ball, it will have been memorable. It is obvious that the New Yorker wrote this one. Thank you for putting up with me.
Thank you, John. We're going to give too much commentary today because there's 40 of us here and I want to keep it moving. We're going to go on to Harley Palmer. Harley, you have to unmute yourself. There you are.
Yep. Hello, everyone. It's my contribution is a haiku, and the first line is the title of the haiku. And if there's I don't know if you need a backstory or how it's done, but basically, watching the moon above. I was watching the moon when I was relaxing. We have a marshland nearby, and that's what's the impetus for it. Anyway, the title is Moon Tightrope Cable. The haiku begins. Moon, tightrope, cable, shambling and sliding, treetops, leafy applause.
That was really nice. That's so familiar. Did I publish that recently?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I was thank you so much. If I may, my life is my granddaughter. She's born on the 18th. It was issue 18, and the haiku's on page 18. So a lot of symbology there.
Oh, that's nice.
It's kind of like how we ourselves shambling. We're on that tightrope and cable, if you will. But shall I read it again, or I'm not sure.
Sure. Yeah, I think we'd all love to hear that again.
Okay. Moon, tightrope cable, shambling and sliding treetops, leafy applause.
Thank you for that. Yeah, and that one reads really well on the page too.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
I'm honored.
Did you have another one?
I have them buried someplace, but right now I just presumed it was the one thing. So
Sure. No problem at all. Thank you for coming. And this is your first time with us, right?
yes, sir. And
That's fantastic.
I love the one with the Shakespeare thing. And if I may, I'm a supporter of the Shakespeare and Company bookstore in Paris, and they just issued a new copy of Ulysses because it's its 100th anniversary of the publication. And so if that's of interest to you, I might suggest checking out Shakespeare and Company's website, the new 100th anniversary of Ulysses by James Joyce.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm very happy to hear that. And like I said earlier, if you have a link like that you'd like to share on our Facebook page, please drop it below the video later when we put it in there. Because we'll forget, but then maybe we'll see it again and go pick up a copy. Okay, let's move on to Bob Moreland. And then we'll go to Debbie Walker-Lass. Bob?
Wasn't quite ready for that. Oh, I'm Bob Moreland from Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin. 6 degrees today, so in a different place. This poem is entitled Called Away. No, I don't ask why when I see you slipping away quietly to that place you go, far from the busy world to your space. How hard being one, yet still two, individual souls entwined. Love that binds, but that still trust. Unique hearts flourishing alone. Please don't doubt my love for you, even though I seem so distant, working through the trials of my soul, renewed to hold you again. Okay. Now, I'm from a Christian tradition. I know this will or will not. I lost one of my high school friends, lost her husband yesterday of 40 years. And this is actually from a book published a long time ago, but it's entitled, it's for her and her grief. Benita Franklin. And this is entitled Dance Card. I do not know what tomorrow brings, and in the many worries of this day, grasp that the Lord Jesus was right. Today has enough trouble of its own. Now in my mortality, I contemplate the painful truth that all are dying at different rates, ignorant of time. I hold you in that moment and ponder. You know the Lord, oh precious gift, eternal life in which you embrace, but it doesn't quell my heartfelt sadness, relinquishing you as you fly to him. At a banquet on high, you will dance in glorious unbounded fields of grace, arrayed in the finest white linen born anew, adopted of our Most High God. Whenever it comes, all I ask is I glance in expectation and wonder of you going before, surrounded by clouds of witnesses onlooking. Will you save a dance on your card for me?
Thank you for that. You know, I'm reminded that I got an email this last week from somebody who incidentally isn't here, but the question was, is a religious poem okay? Because I said no politics. I don't put those in the same category. If you have a poem that is religious in nature and it's poetical, you can read it. Poetry is a record of the heart. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be the same religion that I am. It's all welcome. We're all friends here. And I just want everyone to feel included and welcome to read anything that they want. Okay, as long as it's not offensive to other people. We're just going to pause for a second to let one person in, and then we're going to move on to Debbie Walker-Lass. While we wait for Michael to get his seat there. Hi, Michael. Who snuck in with the 212 phone number?
That's James Nicola from New York. Hello, everybody. Thank
Hi,
you for
James.
asking. Sorry, I was a little late. I had to go
Oh.
track down the new phone numbers, and I realized, oh my God, I didn't copy it. Oh, you're just
No, we're glad that you're here. Thank you for coming today. Okay, Debbie.
Hey, y'all. This one is a little long, but I'm going to try to read it fast. It's about Marilyn Monroe. It's called First and Last, and it's acrostic with the ABC format. Okay.
Yeah.
MM first and last. As her world turned, Norma Jean Baker Morgenstern became just Marilyn, defying the odds that a poverty-stricken child would and could rise to outshine the greatest Hollywood icons of that or any time since. Dangerous Years, her first film, could have been the title of her childhood story. Everything she suffered, her mentally ill mother prone to homelessness, leaving her a foster child abused and neglected, her only refuge, a silver screen, soaking in the glitz and glamour, staying for the double feature, scrutinizing other ways to live, hoping and praying for the day that grim reality would transform into imagination, the guise of being someone else entirely, creating a juxtaposition, the contrast between mouthy line worker and knockout with charm, dripping sex appeal. Marilyn projected herself forward. Looking to plan an escape, she clung on to her neighbor Johnny like a lifeline. Marrying him at 16, and even though older, he couldn't control her, nor the nefarious intent that surrounded her body, men with arms outstretched, ostensibly to shelter, to provide protection, while pummeling her flesh with unwanted attention, fighting to love then leave her, quenching their lust, abducting her body, leaving her heart untouched, never recognizing the brainy, powerful woman underneath the facade of skin, a mogul, controlling her own image, head tousled toward the camera, teasing all the while erecting an empire fueled with blonde ambition and undercover smarts, launching MMP, her own production company, destroying the villainous studio system that sought to own her. Yes, she had agency, and yet, when this girl, the one with the horizontal walk, a chimera in deep blue, Xena of every man's fantasy with her passionate, unquenchable zest for life, died, she was naked, cyan lipped. Last in the can was The Misfits. And I have one free line. This was recently published in Haiku Universe after I don't know how many submissions. I don't know, 30, who knows? They do a poem every single day, but it took me a while to get in. Settle down, my love. We are only smoke and mirrors, reflecting chaos and light. And again, settle down, my love. We are only smoke and mirrors, reflecting chaos and light. Thank you.
Very nice. Great, and congratulations on your recent publication. Let's go across the pond and have Mary Gunn from Ireland.
Thanks, Glenn, and hello to everybody there. I'm going to read two 4-line poems. They're written in the nanny format. Do I need to explain that?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'm seeing a few.
Okay. Nanny poems are 4-line poems that originated in India. They're written with a syllable count of between 20 to 25 syllables spread as required over the 4 lines. And that word is spelled Naani. The first one, they're both very light poems. They won't tax anybody's brain. The first one is called First Thoughts. Reading my email in the early hours, I start composing poems instead of going to sleep. And the second one is called New Beginnings. It's sort of a seasonal one. Like spring bulbs preparing to bloom, I make New Year plans, then wait until it's time to push forth.
I like that.
They were both published in an online poetry journal called Whispers. It doesn't accept submissions anymore, but the archive is still online.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you for sharing those with us.
Well, I was going to read it. I was searching through my poems for poems with the word winter because of the time of year. And then when I heard there was a big snow on the East Coast, I thought, oh no, I'd better go for something light. So that's when I turned up these old poems.
That's great. Oh, these
I'm
these
glad you
kinds of
liked them.
forums are fantastic for digging up old work, aren't they?
Yes, and one of the things I liked about the particular website was that there was a monthly activity, you know, and you would be sent a theme where you'd have to write to a particular theme or write to a particular topic. Hence why I was composing poems instead of going to sleep.
Yeah, I've noticed that as on the editorial side of things, that sometimes when I put a prompt out there, suddenly the submissions will just fly in, especially for the small formats like 3 lines. If I say, you know, we're looking for something seasonal or whatever, we get a lot of activity on those. Okay, we're going to move on to Leonard Lund.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Leonard.
Pieces from the annual fundraisers that I do for St. Baldrick's Foundation over the years. This is the market square where the students and soldiers met yesterday. This space bordered on all sides by towering concrete broken by windows and balconies, holes and scars left low on the walls by gunfire. Tomorrow, it will be covered with stalls and tables and carts, all laden and filled with good things, bright and beautiful, promising to fill the lives of browsers and touchers and buyers. Today, we clean and primp in preparation for the pretense that all is well, setting pots of flowers upright in doorways, sweeping the chipped concrete into hungry shovels, casting dark shadows in the morning sun, while scrubbing on our knees at the stubborn blood that surrounds the silhouettes of those who fell here yesterday. As we leave LaSalle Street to catch a bus for an afternoon at the shed, the sound of a busker's dearness two-step coming up the corridor of red marble attracts our daughter, pulling her forward in the stroller. We round the corner before the escalators, and she begins to laugh at the carefully suited, smiling man with tufts of white hair blooming like open cotton balls under his fedora. Reflected light makes the steel strings of his fiddle shimmer, shining like Orion's belt where they cross the flattened arch of the bridge behind the bow. My wife lifts our toddler, stands her on the stack on tile, where she strikes that spread-legged, arm-flapping stance universal to happy 2-year-olds and begins to dance. Meeting her energy, accustomed to audiences of all ages, the maybe a grandfather shifts to the Blue Danube waltz, rises fluidly, twirls around the space with a maybe future terpsichore, keeping place by his side until the music ends. They bow, resume respective seats, and wave each other goodbye, off on their memory-joined journeys. Thank you.
Yeah, that was very nice. Thank you for that. Did you have another one? Okay. All right, let's move on to KB Ballantyne. Incidentally, KB is a poet that I have seen in many table of contents.
Yay. Thank you for adding me to yours. It's always an honor. This poem is called The Promise of Stars, and it was published in Sparked Lit this last December. The Promise of Stars. A confetti of frost scatters the town square, chambers of white stitched with shadow and ice. It's raining stars, and an owl whirs, a fox hounding the constellations. Hope pressed to our chests, we sleep. Clouds erase the slipper moon, the rubble, the tin-tacked barns. Shades of night deepen, mercy perching in bare branches like polished silver. Thank you. And this one was published in Poetry Quarterly. So, To a Red Bird. The only light as dusk spills through larch and tamarack, slips over sweet grass. You serenade the waning moon, warm my thoughts, hands outstretched in winter's frost. Bears dream about that bright breast, cage of your breath, flittering through hazy twilight, answering fireflies. Heartwood of the forest, you are hope, singing as darkness descends. Thank you.
Oh, that's so nice. I always look forward to yours. Thank you for coming today. Really appreciate it. All right. I hope I don't. I write the names down so fast. Ruth Smolin. There you are.
Thank you, Glenn. And I want to thank Denise, who lives in the same town I do outside of Boston, for inviting me today. It's really a pleasure to be with all these new unfamiliar poets. Because we are having an extremely ferocious blizzard here today, it made me think instantly of the opposite kind of weather.
Well, hopefully we'll all be great friends soon. You know,
Yeah.
you're always welcome.
Thank you, Glenn. This poem was written during a trip to New Mexico a couple of years ago, and it was published in Atlanta Review in 2020. Autumn, New Mexico. Not a comfortable autumn of mild days, but a season fiery as chilly, hot enough to melt our resolve, shorten hikes, flatten us in the afternoon. Yellow cottonwood and red cliffs ablaze, deep blue sky, hazy with smoke from distant fires. In Chaco Canyon, no water, no shelter from burning sun, as we walk among ruins 1,000 years old, a pueblo driven out by long drought. In the slender shadow of adobe walls, we sip warm water, think of the current drought. Death is present here, and flowers, where rain in distant mountains ran down into the canyon, brought purple asters, apricot mallow to life. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you have another one today?
I didn't, because I didn't know we were allowed to have two, so.
Oh, well, that's okay. Maybe next time. I hope you come
Next
back.
time I'll know. Thank you.
I will say that your poetry reminded me a little bit of Whitman in its cadence, the way it slowed and then it picked up a little, never really fast, but this sort of undulation of speed, and it's just really beautiful. You did that so well. Edward Ahern.
Okay, bear with me just a second here. Both these poems are newish, so not published yet. The first one is called The Fall Stream. I walk along a fall stream. The slower, shallower currents run clear. The bones of the river die. The turbidities have flushed. The casket lid of ice is unformed. The turbulences and pairings that lead to damaging excess have waned into the past. The remaining calm will hopefully abide beneath the winter storms. Thank you. Second one is called The Proof, not quite so serious. The Proof. I was, I think, the youngest high school sophomore, pimply, poor, and shy. Classes were undemanding, and I rarely did homework, but geometry proved annoying. The teacher used a ruse to encourage mathematic focus, offering to give a course A to any student who could prove the hinky problem she presented. My salvation was clear. I worked on the problem at home, getting nowhere until, while bathtubing, solution floated up from the dirt. Ran to my notepad and wrote down the steps. The teacher approved my proof and gave me the course A, allowing me to mentally malinger for the rest of the semester. Never since have I been able to re-engage that acuity. Wet or dry, naked or clothed, advanced algebra and calculus give me logic constipations that haunt me into dotage. But I had my shining, unknown moment to rival Archimedes. Thank you.
Logic constipations. Oh, it was difficult not to make noise. Michael Flanagan.
Oh, hi, I live in Minnesota, so I know about.
Is anybody else getting a pause?
Call it haiku, but I have two. First one is Tai Chi at the Y, a peculiar water spot above, no more yin than yang. That's Tai Chi at the Y, a peculiar water spot above, just a bit more yin than yang. And and these are just new. I haven't published these. Grandma's hope chest, battered with a broken hinge, still shielding her secrets. Grandma's hope chest, battered with a broken hinge, still shielding her secrets. Sorry about that. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, that's fine. This has never happened to me before, but I just got a pop-up on my screen that says that my internet connection's unstable. Can you guys hear me okay?
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're
Did that come
fine.
through? Okay.
Yeah. I'm having a little trouble on my end. I sure hope it doesn't become a big issue, but I got a pop-up that said my internet connection's unstable. It's probably because of the weather, and we'll just kind of ride through this and see what happens. Ken Jones.
Glenn, if you turn the video off, it will improve your bandwidth.
That's a really good thought, but I have to have the video of everybody in the room. Go ahead, Ken.
No, but your own video.
Yeah, I see that.
You'll still see everyone else's.
Okay.
Okay, I have a friend from California called John M. White. He's quite a well-known fine artist, and he has a series of paintings called Birds on Wires. So this is after that. Birds on a wire. Past my window, shadows from behind the sun dart back and forth, in and out of my peripheral vision. I've seen those pulsating murmurations of starlings, formation flying, thousands moving as one in scale-free correlation. And now I am visited by some, abandoning their synchronicity to sit on the wire outside my window and sing. Although I'm reminded that synchronicity is not uniquely in the movement. Birds speak to each other, of course, and if only I knew, they would speak to me. Song is syntax, tone is cadence, note is phrasing. The whole is a complex understanding, one song, compositional syntax, just as I use to speak you this poem. Thank you. That was published by Chris Buckley in his journal Salt in California. Here's one that was published in Poetry Quarterly. It's called Scottsdale Tone Poem. From my balcony, I watch the mountains try to stare me down again. Sometimes snow-topped, sometimes sun-kissed, always glowering, brooding, watching. Today, rain-drenched, illuminated by lightning, surrounded by that electric phosphorescent glow. The 5-minute monsoon slashes the darkness with tributaries of light, sheets of incandescence, fires crackling rounds of suppressed electric discharge around the hemisphere of my hearing. An aurora in miniature that draws me to the edge, pulls me in, and disappears, just as I think I understand it. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you. I appreciate the way that that poem ended. You really hit the sweet spot right there. Melinda Thompson.
Hi. I brought one poem that's in the Poetry Quarterly, so I'm excited to read it. Called Maple Leaves. The tree by our driveway lets its leaves drop with thin clattering. As one falls and tumbles, it bumps into its brittle branch mates. Another slips off its stem and clicks as it clips the others. Those hanging on leaves, those determined holders on, refusing a November breeze to breach grips to barren limbs that once nurtured. I hear fall for the first time as leaves leave their lives and truth speaks in a stream of sighs that carry them home like the cries of our first filmy breath.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, is this your first time with us?
Yes. Yep. So,
Yeah.
and my friend Margaret Tao is in the room too, and she's
Oh, that's wonderful.
in the alphabet in the Poetry Quarterly. So that's exciting.
Super. All right. Well, speaking of Poetry Quarterly, that we're supposed to get a whole bunch of those in the mail today. So if anybody's waiting for shipments, they will be going out soon. Charlene Guth.
Okay, I have one poem to read today. It's a haiku, untitled. The hawk glides into the yard, claws grip into a mourning dove. We sat with eyes wide, the hawk takes his dinner. His wing, a wave crested over grass. Hawk and dove, the yin yang with feathers. We ate our meal in silence, savoring morsels with eyes and tongue. Quiet hawk hovers over his meal. A cloud hangs soft white over the moving water. The wind never stops.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming today. Ron Lavalette.
Okay, hello. Greetings from Sub-Zero Vermont up on the Canadian border. This poem is called, I'm just going to read one today, it's not super long. This poem is called Family History. My father always told me, his father always told him, that my father's grandfather died, just like my father's father died. Rolled over in bed, sat up, probably sat there a minute thinking about the weather or whatever it was that lay ahead. Reached down for his slippers, groaned slightly, keeled over, face first onto the hardwood floor. Gone. Both of them gone in the lack of a heartbeat, gone forever before they got old, regardless of what old was way back then when they died. My father broke the pattern, managed to hang on longer, managed to avoid the floorboards until his pancreas ate him alive, slowly, letting him spend his last few ancient days in his own drug-comfortable bed, dreaming. I've still got a few dreams coming, I guess, but these days, when I've made it to old, but ancient seems unlikely, I wake up, roll over in bed, look at my slippers on the floor and feel like I'm flipping a coin when I reach to pick them up. Thanks. I'm really glad to be here, by the way.
Thank you, Ron. We're really glad to have you. Roberto Savas.
Hey, Glenn. Thank you for having me here and for all of you for welcoming me. I live in Illinois, where we're not as cold as Minnesota or the Northeast, but still cold enough for me. I'm originally from the Philippines and Guam and the Bay Area and then New York City. And now I'm stuck in all the middle of these cornfields, but I love it. So I'm going to read a poem recently accepted by Poetry Quarterly, Duck on the Pavement, and then I'll read a poem that's in process, and I'll close out with a 3-line poem. Duck on the Pavement. A brown duck ambles slowly on hot concrete, unconcerned about approaching cars from either direction. They veer out of the way to avoid hitting it. The hot blue day is full of bugs, flying through sticky air only to land in swollen streams where grasses bow to the water out of need. At that frontier, fish stolidly embedded in shade and nook try to avoid the heat. Their mouths are opening and closing in time to microcurrents and the odd particles which find favor with them. High above, an osprey under the same sun spots activity closer to where it knows it has a chance at a meal, so it circles downward to get a better look. The duck arrives at the stream where it bends and collects a capacity of rushing water sufficient to carve out depths suitable for the needs of its denizens. At the same moment, a fish breaks the surface and is grasped in the osprey's talons, as if this had been choreographed. And thank you. Next poem I'll read is a sestina, or sestina. It's called Flow Rider, Rambling My Way Through a Glass Darkly. And this is maybe the 3rd or 4th draft. I write, I think I hit the keys, an exclusive with the muse, oracular. Thoughts zing and zang, but it's just grinding. No more facile at wordplay than most. A wheeling mill is all that I am. My writing is a lathe for wood and metal, driving thoughts like karate punches through slabs of muscle. Shoe them or shoe them. Thoughts like living hooves in flux. Bent to your will, they must be shod. Thoughts are ever in flux. Your keys are hobnails to secure fast signals sent by the muse. Drive these thoughts through a course in a car made of pure muscle. If need be, tell the people on TV that they're not really grinding. Get them to agree. The idea is to find just the right piece of metal, a direction where to go as you gird yourself for fight, bend yourself to the mill. Take geese and their proprietary ways at the mill. Whether threatened or challenged, they're never in flux. Geese have teeth, dull glass eyes. Approaching, they are metal. Don't walk past that solid enemy. Make no eye contact. Don't muse about why they won't back down when nearby food is grinding. Not even if it got them in harm's way. They are one giant muscle. Defend your thoughts as geese do. Brace for attack with muscle. Attack it first by raising hands and put your arms at work to the mill. If surrounded, don't give in. You're not grist for the grinding. You decide their state as they wait for their handouts. Mine's in flux. They deliberately mugged me for their stupid version of a muse. They huddled around me on every side until I built a wall of metal. Out of which, that was all I could do, really, use my metal. Make myself big, keep their ideas from trying to muscle in on me and my food. That's how I reward the muse, by respecting her quick pace, without excitement, just the mill to do my will and thresh the thoughts that are in flux. Yeah, I miss the vibrancy when I write, ebb and flow and grind. So much packed into a relatively small area, that's grinding. Mega thoughts occupying area like mega sprawl. Wall them in metal. 6 boroughs made of steel, real prominence, slow the flux of reputation and power. Free write your adipose into muscle. Fill skyscraper valleys, tear down grungy deal mills, keep the underground running amok, and drink the glass of muse. Self-editing, correction, don't make your brain a muse. It's the grinding that does. Be a writer, use your muscle. Go crawl outside every now and then and breathe real air. Get control of your thoughts. Make your will like metal. Respect the mill, then grind it down for clarity's sake. Excuse me. Speaking of sake, I sure would love a glass of that right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Just a reminder, everybody, there's a limit of two poems for each person. And we're going to move on to James Bethel.
There we go.
There you are.
Yeah.
How you doing, James?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate you guys. I've noticed that we have poems about birds going on today, and I have 2. And the first one requires a little bit of explanation. This first one is entitled Wind, Chime, and Mockingbird Guitar. And it's part of a collection, Unless Rain. It's still in the hands of Cervena Varva Press. We're waiting on word for publication sometime this year. That collection is subdivided into 4 parts. One of the parts has a subtitle, which is Entretien loup. That's my French. It translates from the French directly as between dog and wolf, and refers to a certain quality of life, rather light. It's also sometimes used to refer to any liminal condition where discernment begins to become problematic. So with that, Wind, Chime, and Mockingbird Guitar. That final twilight hour has come. The one where trees hold their green breath one long moment before sighing into the black of night. Twixt dog and wolf, shepherds once, and photographers call it still. The birds call it silence. Like a moment of justice in an eternity of Libran balance, the wind chime has paused in its harmonious clang, as have those 2 mockingbirds who've been chattering incessantly all evening with my neighbor's guitar, which has also gone silent. The world is struck dumb by beauty. Light speaks and all falls still in honor of that holy voice, always there, but just now heard. The last note of the chimes honor the last breath as the light fades on my neighbor's door closing. And now in nests atop streetlights, the birds have fallen asleep. That's that one. We got a brand new one in the last couple of days. I'm still playing around with the title. Right now it's titled One Bird. Alone flying east into the sun, not yet risen, into a welcoming sky. We, the bird and I, share the hope of the day, the promise of light. I once said to Roshi, inside there's a yes and a no. And he said, so follow the yes. I think the bird was following the yes. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Things, speaking of things most foul, James, I was driving on the backside of the mountain a couple of days ago, and it's really windy and the lanes are very small, and a turkey came out of the thicket, and it was completely unavoidable. It tried to fly out of the way of my car, and it got itself high enough. Yes, turkeys do fly. It got itself high enough off the ground so that I didn't actually do any damage to it, but it just sort of glid or slid maybe up the windshield and then flipped backwards right into the windshield of a police officer that was following closely behind me, and he gave me a ticket.
What's that about?
What did he give me the ticket for?
Yeah.
Flipping him the bird.
Ah!
I'm sorry. All right, let's move on. I couldn't resist. Margaret Tao.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. And I want to thank Melinda Thompson for inviting me to this today. I'm so glad she let me know about this. I'm going to read 2 haiku. They were both recently published. Okay. Even smaller against the waxing moon, saw wet owl. Even smaller against the waxing moon, saw wet owl.
Nice.
Sand dollars, all that's left of her summer job. Sand dollars, all that's left of her summer job. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I hope you come back. Linda Embler.
Howdy.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, everybody. I'm Linda Embler, and I'm in Wichita, Kansas. And I'm going to read 2 poems today. And the first one I'm going to read is in honor of Kansas Day, which is today. And the Kansas flower is the sunflower, and it's bright yellow. And the other reason I want to read this poem is that yellow's not my favorite color. I don't hate it, but it's just not one of my favorite colors. So I challenged myself several years ago to write a story or to write a poem about yellow and make it happy and make it sound as if I really would like yellow. This is called If Yellow Sang to Me, because yellow doesn't sing to me like blue and purple do. If yellow sang to me of bright sun's day, the consonants of corn on the cob served at picnics, sweet cream butter at the side. If yellow sang to me as I watched the march of lemony taxi cabs, transporting frazzled strangers from airports to who knows where. The rhythm of bouncing saffron school buses conveying our future. A vase of sunflowers painted on canvas, the romantic interpretation through the beautiful hands belonging to Van Gogh, harvest gold portrayed. Stunning yellow tang, the maestro, swimming amid corals in clear water. A cadence of newly sharpened pencils united with cobalt Lego pads. The aria of a canary song. Bananas to be peeled and sliced, placed atop cereal. If yellow sang to me. Thank you. The second one is at the back of my book. I have a new book out called Speak as Frequency, and this is another poem from that book. It's called Circadia. On a moonless night with only the streetlights glare between snatches of sleep, while I lie lightly dreaming under the color of night's gray, as the dark's orchestra of crickets, breeze, and owls play, laid between the choruses of feral dogs' howls. At this time, I imagine a long desert journey of scorpions, rattlesnakes, and roadrunners across the sands. I suppose purple mountains growing more royally robed with blue's diffusion into the ether. I picture swift streaming dinghies and kayaks leaving silver wakes. My secrets of earth, sea, and sky, wide and deep and high. I imagine to slowly wake by silent morning stars that close their eyes against their twinkle with the beginning of dawn. To only hear the gentle tweet of the early birds, they who catch the worms. Yet looking out open windows while my eyes adjust to the dim, I see steadily growing candlelight within the clouds as the map of my reality takes me down speedily brightening streets. Forgotten reveries are replaced by visions of despondent beggars drunk at dawn, the early morning screech of an overly enthusiastic jazz trombonist playing urban taps for an exhausted, overworked populace, trucks' engines thunderously rumbling as the noise of giants racing. Circadia, please pull me along swiftly to a moonless night where I lie lightly dreaming. Thank you.
Thank you. That was really nice. There's hardly a verb in there that doesn't have an adverb with it. That verisimilitude just really leaps out. It's so beautiful the way that you just draw people in with all those little details. And that,
thank you.
I've always enjoyed your work. Shasta Hatter. I don't know if Shasta is still here. Might have had to go. Harley, you on your way out. Thanks for stopping by. Really nice to have had you. All right, I'm going to put a pin in that. Kirk Eckstein.
Hi.
Hi, Kirk.
So I've got two poems. The first one was published, I think, by Poetry Quarterly a while ago. Sleeper. Trembling at first he sings, a whisper, wind through dry leaves, persistent the rain pattering, a song of silence dreamt in darkness, a cold wind in a warm room, the sleeper shifts brushing away invisible fingers, a sigh, dismissing waking thought, passes back to steady breath. And the second one's one I've been working on for quite a while, and I'm just not sure about it. We strive to substantiate these abstract qualities, our human mind stretching and grasping, trying to give form to the formless expanse. It is mass beyond measure, it has size without scale, each border discovered, revealing another horizon line. Can construct be given a name to define what is without end, without boundary? Imagine the void reduced to terms that very few can calculate. Imagine evoking with no understanding, humanized with words that pale in its totality. All things exist within its influence, yet still it remains unknowable. Each imprecise thought carries its own miscalculation. Math cannot, by its own terms, define that which travels without pause into still undiscovered thought. Indistinguishable shape measures in the scope, incomprehensible to our understanding, it is macroscopic and microscopic, reducing and expanding simultaneously forever. Is there truly substance? Is there really form? None can say. There can be no certainty. Every theory must be by definition remain indefinite, trapped within its own boundaries. That cannot be finite, which exists within the infinite.
Thank you for that. So that's one of those that makes you think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like an idea about what is infinity. You know, there's so many thoughts we can't really calculate. So
Yeah, it's something I've often pondered myself. Looks like we're about halfway through. Shasta did return. She's taking her seat now. We'll go ahead and move to Krista Planko, and then we'll slip back. Hi, Krista. You look great today.
Hi, thanks, Glenn. Thanks for having me today. I'm happy to be here. Tuning in from snowy South Jersey today. I'm going to be sharing 2 Tonka poems today. These were previously published in the retired Tonka Journal. Still by far one of my favorite prolific press publications. So a little homage to that publication. So here's the first one. Watermarked by tears, a story bleeds from my heart, wrenched out, unfinished. Last kiss lingers on my lips like words that remain unsaid. Thank you. And,
you can go ahead and
here's
read
the
those
second.
twice, please.
Oh. Watermarked by tears, a story bleeds from my heart, wrenched out, unfinished. Last kiss lingers on my lips like words that remain unsaid.
That's nice.
Thank you. And here's the second. Branching winter frost streaks down frozen window panes, building vacated, halls once alive with voices, empty rooms warm with bodies. And I'll read that one more time.
Mm-hmm.
Branching winter frost streaks down frozen window panes, building vacated, halls once alive with voices, empty rooms warm with bodies. Thank you.
Very nice. You did a really good job on the turn. That third line, you know, the turn on those, they're just so,
I
they feel
really
so
enjoyed
natural.
the form.
Yeah, well, you can still submit those to both 50 Haiku and Poetry Quarterly, both accept Tonka.
Okay, thanks for letting me know.
All right. Thanks for coming in, Natasha. I'll get your name here in a minute. Shasta Hatter. I saw Shasta coming in and I clicked on it, but I think must be some connectivity issues there. Marjorie Greenberg. You have to unmute yourself.
There we go. Okay, I have 2 poems today. The first one is Snow. Awakened by the snowplow song, I imagine a wall of white, bivouacked in the driveway. It arrived last night. I see myself marching through the side door, armed with trusty shovel. We've met this battle before. We start to dig into the piles as snow pellets shot from cannon erase my happy smile. As the storm rages, icicles grow, and daunting dunes of deceptively delicate flakes rise beyond the height of my throwing might. The weighty work of digging my back and arms offends. A hearty dose of liniment is called for at day's end.
Nice.
And-
Good alliteration there too.
Thank you. The second poem is based on a news story of a moose that fell through a window well into a basement, a homeowner's basement. And I call this Moose in Wonderland. The earth gave way as I walked across the snow. My hooves landed in a cave I did not know. The space was bright as day, and a 4-legged flat-topped green structure stood in my way. Though the right color, it could not be grazed. Panic took over. I thought I was crazed. The whole place smelled of humans, which was a fright, for Mom taught me from them to stay out of sight. Boxed in by the small space my intestines let go, which took care of human reek. Now a safe escape I had to seek. Then my worst fear came true when appeared men in blue. What happened next I cannot say, for when my head cleared, the cave had disappeared. Must have been a nightmare. Now back to my forest, I'll graze on all things green. Who cares what happened? I appreciate this scene.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing those. All right. So I do see a note here from Shasta. Your internet's been a little funky. I'm going to try to get you in here while you're connected. So let's go ahead and try you one more time, Shasta. You have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Okay, thank you. My first poem is called The Price of Friendship, and it was published in the most recent issue of Poetry Quarterly. You counted each smile, each kind word, each small joke, each tear, each confession, stacked like coins, entered in your emotional ledger, to be withdrawn when you demand praise and agreement. Praise and agreement, the only redemption you acknowledge as a fair exchange for friendship. Your wife may leave you. I speak up to ask for change. You accuse me of being a robber. You accuse me of being a robber. 33 years of kind words, small jokes, tears and confessions marked insufficient. Account closed. No redemption today.
Very nice. And I can hear you just fine. Do you have another one?
Okay, and the next one is considerably lighter. Failed Haiku is doing a science fiction issue and asked us to please give them science fiction synro. So here is my science fiction synro that will be in the February edition of Failed Haiku. I trace the ridges on your forehead, scent of honeysuckle. I trace the ridges on your forehead, scent of honeysuckle. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you for that. Tim Mueller. Hey, Tim.
Hey, thanks again, Glenn, for publishing what I've submitted. I have a couple haiku I'm going to read. The first one came about because over the past 5 years, I dream every single night and wake up exhausted sometimes, and then I'll write 12 haiku or so, kind of as a purgative, I think. So this one's going to be in the most recent one of 50 haiku that's coming out. So please hold your digital confetti until I've read it twice. Decipher the night. Rub dreams between your fingers. Coded messages. Decipher the night. Rub dreams between your fingers. Coded messages. Thank you. And the second one's going to be in Haiku Journal, number 68. And this is, most of the time when I write, I feel like I'm writing for myself, but I think this one was meant for everyone. And again, I'll read it twice. Hear flowers whisper, I am beauty, I am death, pressed between pages. Hear flowers whisper, I am beauty, I am death, pressed between pages. So.
Very, very nice. I remember when I read that the first time in the slush pile, it really spoke to me. And there's that sort of, I don't know, this thing that books are sitting on the shelf and they have things to say, right? And then now we have a flower in a book that has something to say. It's just great. I really love the imagery there. You nailed it. And it's a pleasure to publish you again. Thank you, Tim. Mike Jenkins.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm been invited by Ken this evening, so I'm here in the UK as well. I've got two poems. The first one I found in my folder on my computer, and I can't remember writing it, but it was in the last year. I thought it was appropriate because it's called Pleased to Meet You. Pleased to meet you. Here I am, in the empty space of this page, hidden among the letters and words. And from time to time, I'll peep out from behind the bow. And from time to time, I'll peep out from behind the bow of a D or the sweep of an S. And if you are listening carefully, you'll hear me confess my love of men, of wine and earth. You might hear me rage at the fact of my birth, or see me weeping on the ledge of a T. You might discover me creeping late at night, always so late at night, round the bulbs of a bee. Somewhere in here is a version of me, and it's meeting you now, sipping some kind of brew, and wondering of your words, wondering about your worlds, wondering about you. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you for that.
Thank you. And then the second one, I was pleased you said what you said about religion and politics. I'm not sure where the line is drawn with this one, but it's a sweet, unoffensive reflection, I suppose. When the sun comes out. Was it a Sunday? I can't recall the day when the sun refused to dress in yellow, but rose instead clothed in red. Look, he said, I am the sun in the sky, the giver of life. You are my children, every one of you infused with my light. Why, oh, why do you fight, children? All of you are one of me, and believe it or not, you are already free. The ones bleeding on the street are me, and the ones with guns, the ones with plans to keep your feet pinned to the ground, and those ones too, the ones with blood on their hands. Look at me. I rise every day to say this to you. Put down your weapons. Resistance is futile. I am the only light you need. I say to you, lay down your ire, your fear, and your greed. Soak up the rays. Have a beer with your brother. Enjoy this day. Here, love one another. There is no need to bleed.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. I hope you come back. Doug Van Hooser.
Hi, everybody. The first poem I'm going to read, I wrote a number of years ago, and it was published back then. It's entitled T-Shirts. There, hibernating in the back of the drawer, places and events wedded to a sweatshirt or a jersey, a treasure map of history welded by time that your wife decides is a cicada eruption of worn, faded, torn T-shirts whose melody is a desiccated, debauched tune, the lyrics of a life best dressed as a mummy, trash of the past to be entombed by waste management. But you cling to the stories tied in memory knots, not bound by routine, held in the arms of alarm clocks. But that place in her beer-amused mind where chance looked like a good bet, or at minimum, a long shot worth the risk, since a win would be a rainbow and loss simply spread the smile of the plot. The theme of those days, go for the story. The only measure of success or failure, the laughs, thumbs ups, the shaking of heads. The sweats, the tees, the jerseys, beauty worshipped in the crypt of your mind may not fit, but stories are prized private collection designer clothes, alive in the cloth and threads. And this second poem, I live in Wisconsin on a lake. This is for all you people that think snow is abnormal. It's entitled Wind Chill. The sky mouse gray, the cold paws at me. Snow crunches like cereal. The hemlocks, saddened by short days and long nights, droop from the snow's weight. The arborvitaes wear dunce caps carved by hungry deer. A few snowflakes wander, beckoned by snowdrifts, lost to gravity. Sparrows slalom through the bird feeders and suet, pilfer seeds in sudden stops. A flash of poker chip red, a male cardinal's bad bet, a bluff against migration. A white sheet tucks the lake, ice thicker than iron I-beams. Pickup trucks squat on like ducks. A crossword puzzle of snowmobile tracks filled with two-stroke wine. The cracking ice belches from the open mouth of the chainsawed fishing hole. My line in dark water, bobber bobbing, something nibbling.
Thank you for that, Doug, and thanks for coming back. I just want to say to all the wonderful poets here that I am expecting this to run just over the 2-hour mark, if I am doing my calculations correctly. So if you can't stay, please just send me a note so that we can hear from everyone. Michael Watterson.
Thank you, Glenn.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, everybody. Hope everybody's hunkered down if they need to be. Just two short things today. The two great themes of literature, some would say the only themes, are love and death. And I began thinking quite a while back that what would happen if love and death were a couple, a married couple? They enter the room and whispers begin. What does she see in him? The life of every party she's pursued, adored, while he hangs back, oafish, crude. The mirror of beauty and grace, elegant as champagne, she's welcome every place, whereas his clock-stopping face exacts insufferable pain. Yet they remain conjoined, alone in the dark they embrace. You complete me, she says, give meaning to my too brief day. You are my hope, says he, show me a way beyond me. Thanks. And then the second one is, I decided that we need some more muses, that the original 9 are not enough, that maybe there's some, second tier muses, or should be. And so this one is called Muse of Urban Legend. Shunned by her stuffy sisters after a failed intervention, my muse won't hang out on Mount Helicon by the sacred stream of poetry, but in a tenderloin alley tweaking with the Furies. Barging in at 3 a.m., crashing, dousing me with night sweats, rambling on about severed fingers and fast food chili. This is she who chills ardor on lovers' lanes with whispers of hook-handed maniacs. And come all hallows, she's the witch who hides her razor wit inside the trick-or-treat apple. Meet the fabled barstool nymph who slips the gabby-grabby conventioneer a roofie before luring him upstairs where she harvests a kidney. Online likes by the millions viralize her afflatus, but sewing the macabre grows tiresome. She longs to change her calling, dump me in my addiction to sci-fi pulp for a literary lion. Thanks.
Thank you. Let's see here. Carla Schwartz.
Thank you. Wow, what a great afternoon here. I'm going to read you 2 poems. The first one was published in a journal called Discretionary Love, and it's an elegy, and it's called "It Wasn't the Gun." It wasn't the gun, but today I'm thinking about it. Your gun, still packed up and ready to load, the 22 Smith & Wesson you bought when we moved to Bear Island. I removed it from the case I gave you one Christmas, the case you had taken down that Saturday in preparation for the season opening that week, that saddest Saturday before it wasn't just another shimmering November day on our lake. Our lake. That's how we used to refer to it, those thin months when most other islanders had closed up for the season. The gun still smells of oil. You cleaned it, the scope and barrel, tucked the ammo away in the zipper pocket I'd had monogrammed for you, J-A-M. I was always terrified you'd die by this gun with your hunting buddy nearby. I lift out your orange vest and hug myself into it, inhaling as I do, but I don't smell you. I smell only the house you built for us, my very definition of you. I cradle the rifle under my arm and aim at the mounted head of the deer you'd shot that first hunting year. I pull back the trigger of the unloaded gun and snap. I want to shoot holes through all we did, to cull sense from the inexplicable, the crash I thought was our running aground, how much it hurt to grab our phone from the slump of you, already gone. After the accident, your picture printed in the paper, side by side with the photo of the driver of the other boat, your hunting buddy, looking young and happy with a fish on a hook. In your photo, your wrinkles smile to the sun, but oh, that chiseled chin. I called you Apollo for that jaw. Apollo who, like you, healed and sang. And this other poem was, thank you, published in Poetry Quarterly and a seasonal one, the last one for fall, and this is called Equinox Sunset. Too wind-weary to take a boat out for sunset, we amble across the thin section of island and the pink light filtered through the trees lures us west, as if the deep equinoxal tones make music, a song only the sun knows when summer breaks into autumn, when, like the leaves, cloud and sky display shades of red, yellow. The song we had forgotten rose through our bones, and each time we turned to leave, the glow reflected on a tree draws us back to the sun. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was really, really nice. I'm seeing some comments in the chat here for the poets that watch these videos in hindsight on the Facebook page. You missed the chat. There's quite a few compliments in there for your work. Therese Birch, are you still here?
Yes, I am.
Oh, there you are. Let's hear your work
I
today.
tried to pick non-rhyming poems this time.
Okay.
I didn't realize last time that you were kind of shooting for that. Anyway, this is called In Memory of Johnny, and it's a young man, a famous playwright at a very young age who died of AIDS. I need a crown of gold or something shiny on my head. A rose to cover premonitions of the dead, with fragrance spread within the sweltering earth and rain. I wish to feel it on my head and face, an ocean spray or frost covering like a winter bear retreating. Where has the familiar gone? Sinister voices chant within my bones, there is no home among us now. That which I loved and bore within my heart, to speak and laugh and sing about, is moving. Through the ocean of my life, I sail in foreign lands. I need a crown of gold, and yet desire leads me still upon familiar seas. The birthing pains, as once it did, into horizons never known, and rose where parents as the midwives stand, and rain and thirst, my only guide. The frost has woven threads of gold, a basket for my heart it floats. Like hummingbird upon eternity, it carries all that I hold dear and those who once loved me. In stilled communion there we speak, as language never could, the silence pregnant with our love, not heard, but understood. So that's one. And so I live near the sea, and I have lots of poems about the sea. This is called Seaweed. I grew up near the sea, and when I travel, I smell her scent and know her directions. The alarm sounded that day, but I could no longer cross you, raging sea, in my paper-crafted boat. Strolling out from under the sun, slicked with oil, swim cap tight, you appeared like a channel swimmer. How can I cross the sea, I asked. Fly, was your response. I could not know, like Joseph in a dream, I would be warned ahead, transcend. Thank you.
Thank you. Krista, your cat is cracking me up.
Oh, sorry
Jenny.
about that. He's
Jenny.
enjoying the poetry too.
Jenny Pina, you're next.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Wonderful poems. My first poem is called Backup Horns in My Kitchen. Backup horns in my kitchen recall sounds of the bridge, U.S. Enterprise, starship that survived meteor showers, atmospheres hellfire hot, warfaring Klingon commanders, spiny shapes protruding foreheads, their fanged teeth dripping goo. Do Klingons brush their teeth? I bet they smell like sauerkraut. I pestered my brother Mark, who was older than me and alive then. His shrugging shoulders, no match for my photon torpedoes. Romulans don't have any arm muscles. You never see a toilet on the Enterprise. No sneezes or burps. Dumb. If we had a food replicator, we wouldn't have to eat mom's salmon cakes. Why does Gene Roddenberry blur the faces of the girls Captain Kirk kisses? To make them prettier? So annoying. Episodes ended with the crew back on the bridge, swiveling their chairs, cracking jokes. The whole show seems so realistic. Ignore my nitpicking. Think gleaming ship, Kirk leaning forward, a cowboy in a saddle, god of courage. Think stunning ebony of space. Think star-flickered promises. Pouring hot tea from a kettle, I pause, snicker, and snort. That's the best you could do, Mark? Backup horns as your hailing frequency of choice from the cosmos? Come on. And the second one is called Dead Body. After Dad died, I kicked myself. Of course, he paid the cheapest crematorium he could find. Bunch of con artists. Weeks went by, no return calls. When they finally answered the phone, proclaimed the job complete, I knew it was a lie, a sham in an urn. After that hoodwinking, I researched options for my someday dead body. Maybe human composting, very green movement, 30 days, aerated chamber. Dad would have said that is a ridiculous price to shell out to turn a dead body into a shoebox of soil. Once he attended the viewing of an employee's wife at the wrong funeral home, bowed his head over the wrong dead body. Later demonstrated the bow to me, explained it was too late. I was already in line. The woman had a very pleasant face, made me think of dear Aunt Bee from Mayberry RFD. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Gloria.
Hi, everyone from very snowy, blustery New York. I'm honored to be a part of all of you wonderful poets. This doesn't have a
Gloria
title.
Caviglia. Okay.
We, sorry, guys. We've danced together for half a century. My feet taking a back step, twirled, dipped, upright again. As I meet your gaze, I see my reflection in your eyes. You are me, but then I suppose that I am you too. We become one in this dance. 50 years of synchronicity. It's playful, almost coquettish. Let's not burden with the past, but embrace the future. Eyes locked together once again as we take our position. Our story doesn't end here. And this is actually it's a 100-word story poem. It's called Lollipop Sunday. There were many of us waiting patiently for the ladies to appear at the windows high above our heads. When we'd see a window open from behind the bars, everyone would take their place. I usually stood off to the left because that's where Mom's aim took the lollipop as it sailed through the pine trees. Red was my favorite, but only the greens and yellows and an occasional orange would drop. You could kind of pretend that the orange almost tasted like red. Well, almost. Dad said they kept the red ones for the crazies, like Mom. Thank you.
Thank you. Francis Flavin.
Good day, everybody. I'm out here in Sparks. I really appreciate all the poetry. I haven't figured out how to work the chat yet, so if you wonder why I never have any comments, it's my technological failings. So I have a couple of poems just for fun, some lighter fare for darker times, and they both received recognitions in Soul Making Keats competition in the humor division. I don't know if they're worthy for publication, but hopefully worthy for a chuckle. The first one is timely, I think. It's called Mallards in the Kremlin. TV is a wasteland, is often said and true, but sometimes there's an insight that's both startling and new. On TV was a special on the latest Russian coup. Freedom was glowing dimly in the streets and in the malls, soldiers marching grimly around the fortress walls. Then the camera panning caught them in the act, Mallards in the Kremlin, walking sleek and fat. We've seen them in the Arctic and the streets of gay Paris. We find them in the Baltic, living wild and free. These mallards are licentious, has been often thought and said. What once were eastern black ducks have all been interbred. Yes, these wily wanton mallards will even mate with pets. The question to be answered, can Russian ducks say niet? I guess they are a symbol of our evil Western ways, and if allowed to flourish, will bring them down someday. So raise a toast to mallards, so common and so free, so unrestrained and gaudy, so much like you and me.
I really
The second
like
one
that.
will take you away from the snow for a little bit and go to Palm Springs. It's called Palm Springs Saturday. Wrapped in solemn piety, the Orthodox Jews in their fur hats are oblivious to the heat. At the pool, the aged sacrificed their pterodactyl hides to the sun. Besieged by elder gators, I slip into denial behind a potted palm. A Monet impression of my grizzled mug shimmers on a nearby window. The adjacent grill wafts bacon and hunger on the breeze. Thirsty flies attack the saliva at the corners of my mouth. Old farts rocket by in their late life Porsches and Beamers. I want one. Thank you.
Thank you. Carolyn Wilsey.
Hi, this poem was recently published in 3-line poetry, and I'll read it twice. It also has birds in it. Shadows flash and the bird is gone, a crow blinking across sky, blue ombre and corrugated clouds. Shadows flash and the bird is gone, a crow blinking across sky, blue ombre and corrugated clouds.
That was really nice. Do you have another one?
No.
Okay. Thank you for that. I hope we see you again and again and again. That was just that was just so well balanced, and those are not easy to do well. I think people think small poems are easy, but they're not.
Thank you.
I'm trying to remember the poet that said, I was going to write you a short poem, but I didn't have the time. Patrice Wilson.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Glenn. I wanted to say hello for Heather Grant, whom I invited to come here today, but she couldn't make it because she is getting right in her religious practice dojo. So some other time, hopefully she'll be able to be here. She was here before at my invitation. I just want to read this poem was accepted in Poetry Quarterly, and I am waiting for those shipments one of those shipments to come to me. It's called Moon Wobble. Last time I was drinking, eating, dancing with friends at Moana Surf Rider Hotel in the Waikiki evening. The sea was eager to climb the stairs that normally lead to the beach, and did so with unusual aplomb, workers bailing water away, much to our collective chagrin. It didn't occur to me that in the 2030s a moon dance might enhance this inundation, multiply its occurrence by 10 times, or that the lovely ambience of the outside bar and grill might be closed one night due to saltwater flood. The question is how to move an entire hotel inland so that people like me can watch the lonely sunset at the brink of horizon out over the largest ocean in the world, and wonder how in our hands such beauty should become so dangerous even before the universe cuts in. I am sure all kinds of engineers are working on this, and I hope there will be a solution that's good for everybody, because I just can't think of who would want to make the moon stop dancing, even if they could. Thank you. Let's see, I have another one, just a short one that I submitted to 50 Haikus. Maybe it was the other 3-line journal, because this doesn't have a title. But anyway, Japanese lantern, pink and green with red flowers, passionate artist. Japanese lantern, pink and green with red flowers, passionate artist. Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
nice, Patrice. I'm hesitant to ask, but you're in Hawaii. What's the temperature?
Right now it's about 10 o'clock, so about 78 degrees. It'll go up to 82 or so. Yeah.
Oh, to be in Hawaii. Okay, Alana Rader?
Yes, hi, it's Elena.
Elena, I'm sorry.
Nice to meet everyone. This is my first time here. I'm zooming in from snowy Brooklyn, so definitely not Hawaii, unfortunately. And thank you for having me. This poem is called Transformation, and it's written basically inspired by when we read other writers' work and we have sort of a silent collaboration with them, and they inspire our work. Transformation. When I glance down, inspect your text, this living, breathing document meant to be read without intent, the contents flow and I reflect and receive new discoveries in between these lines of verse or prose. Your handprint merges with mine and I can almost feel your fingertips inscribed inscribing each rhyme, the flow and feeling into what could be, what might be, what will be, if we were to all believe in empathy, this invisible web connecting you to me across oceans and seas of forests. Can you see the forest through the trees? Sifting through miles and piles of documents and emails, these 6 degrees are everywhere. The danger lies in remaining anonymous. When I read your words, electricity reverbs through my veins, toxicity seeping out, slipping down the drain, my roots, a sprout or new idea, a pulsation of power to take action or pause, thinking we are more alike than we realize. Each word in your story, like gazing into your eyes, your heart, your brain. This refrain reaches off the page or screen and holds my hand. It puts me to sleep. It turns off the light, fending off the monsters in the dark. Your words are your weapon to combat loneliness, combine comfort, and comb through those we've lost, finding new meaning, new perspective, searching for yes, for maybe, for love. And when your words unite with mine, mixing to combine and create new ideas, new perspectives, new words, we are ready to share. These words, new views, are mine to choose, jumping straight off the page, coming into focus, honing in, opening and reopening, like petals in the spring or a bird taking wing. When I read them, I am renewed and replenished. A work in progress, progressing.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Did you have another one today?
I know, just the one.
Just the one. That was
It was
so,
kind of long, so.
That's fine. It was really nice. And the energy, right? That was great. It was really, really well done. Do you rehearse these spoken in front of the mirror?
I rehearse a little bit. I'm also a theater artist, so I have a performance background.
That's where it comes from. Well, it shows, and it's most welcome. Thomas Festa.
Hi, Glenn. Thanks for having me again. I am going to start with a poem that just came out in Poetry Quarterly, or is, I guess, in the mail. It's called Switchback. I imagine we walk together, a childless hike on the ridge. The crisp new air clarifies more than views or destinations. No reply could correspond to felt need. There have been these many years. In the air, a taint of seasons turned, withdrawals unbeknownst. When we speak of impracticality, talk is never intimate, longing forgotten. But the scent rides on the air, pine resin and sawdust, fallen trees cleared. This next is Haibun. It is forthcoming in Contemporary Haibun Online. It's called Primer. I wanted it to be the river glinting through the trees, not rain-wet aluminum sheet roofing. Dark islands rising from a misty sea, not stunted pines sticking out of drifts of ground fog. I wanted it to be benign, as they said it would be before they operated. There was so much I wanted for you this autumn and couldn't arrange. Everyone was glad when you got back to your paintings. All the waves, shores, dogs, birds, and flora precise as ever. But something had happened to the people in your portraits. Something made them look slightly off kilter, no matter where you hung them or how many times you'd nudge their frames, step back, and take a second look. Sable brush tip through cloudy water. Solstice MRI. Thank you.
Thank you. I remember, Thomas, when I read your poem, The Switchback, the first time, that I took the word pine resin and I put it in my my words list. I keep a little. Some of you might know this about me. I keep a little document open as I'm going through the slush pile, and I will steal a word here or there. I don't take, it's just a word. But then when I go to write, I will look through my words list, and something about that fires me up. Just all this positive memories of this positive imagery and energy, in the past. And sometimes I remember and sometimes I forget, but that's nice. Hey, James, thanks for waiting so long on the phone. James Nicola.
Yes, hello. I'm so happy to be here, everybody. James Nicola here from New York City, right above the Lincoln Tunnel, where the snow just stopped. So, I don't know what's going on in Maine and Vermont, and I certainly don't know what's going on in Hawaii. We had a poet earlier who talked about his chapbook about the phoenix. So I figured I would read a phoenix poem. And then if Mary Gunn is still here from Ireland, who's been here every time I've been here, I'm going to read one of my Irish poems in honor of her. This first one is called Phoenix Morning. The one word I have to gloss is railed. It's in the middle of the sonnet. It's in the middle. Railed, R-A with a circumflex L-E apostrophe D, and a râle in French is the death rattle of a bird, like a swan song. Phoenix Morning. Besides, he smokes. A lesson let this be to all who lust for, like, and love in one. Then wager all the one to win the three until the daring's dashed and all undone. This morning, after night's last feast, again I rise, lighter, although stomached in lead. Now fingered life tries to graft a new lane, as feathered hope, all riled and railed, lies dead. That bird of paradise, too high in flight, too boiled of blood, could only melt and crash, combusting as it fell, ablaze in bright, unmatched glory, leaving me only ash. My hands wash dishes while my heart remembers. They lift an ashtray, feel, then toss the embers. That was published quite a while ago online in a journal called Sunken Lines. This next one is called Exhilaration. The two little things to gloss here are Black Stair and Mount Lester, which are two mountains in southern County Carlow, which is in southeastern Ireland. And I was the first person in my family to go back there since 1847. Exhilaration. The days of late May linger. It was late. I calculated still some leagues to go, then thought to pick my pace up to a gate. My great-great-great-grandparents used to know this road. They might have walked it with a cart, or on a Sunday long before it crossed their minds to leave the townland farm and start anew, leaving behind two babes as lost. I'd seen the records in the church and knew all of the children's names and godparents. The books went back to 1782 and listed all my great uncles and aunts. Exhilaration, though, trumped the fatigue with giddiness, which made me see the rains that drenched me suddenly on the last league as a refreshment. Giddiness explains much, but not the equally sudden light that pierced through the cloud wreaths around Black Stair and Mount Leinster, beneath which, till the blight, my family had tilled the soil somewhere. When you go to Ireland, to your homeland, for want of any better place to go, because your cousins want to understand their roots, and you would also like to know, because it's interesting, because it's there, you're greeted by the makings of your soul, the dead, which seem to pop up everywhere to help you home. They're almost visible. Thanks. That was published in River Poets Journal, so I might still be online, River Poets Journal. Thank you all, and so much, and especially Glenn. Thanks.
Oh, well, you're so welcome. What do you think, Mary?
I enjoyed that very much. It's a very nice poem. I must look it up and see if it's online.
Wonderful. Thank you. Very good. We're usually adjacent because we're both on the phone usually. So I thought I got to do one for you.
Oh, thanks very much.
Yeah, that's really nice. It's good to see a connection. Every time that I see poets making friends, it just works, doesn't it? Michael Lewis Beck. Michael, are you still here?
I'm here. Yeah,
There
Mike.
you are. You know, Mike, I can never look as dapper as you. You look like, so distinguished, like $1 million. I could never pull that off.
I got a hat like you. This shirt's made, it looks like it's my crayon shirt. You see, it's got all these colors. It's like a box of crayons. I wore it special for you today. And thanks for the picking up Basil Before Frost, which is coming out. I just checked the mail. It's not here yet, but thanks.
Yeah. So just I know Patrice was waiting for books. If you have any books waiting, we won't, because it's after 1 o'clock on Saturday, our schedule pushes to Monday. So they'll all go out on Monday if we have them in stock. And we should be getting just about everything in stock today. We're expecting a huge shipment. Okay, let's get to the poems.
Yeah, these are two romantic poems, I guess, for lack of a better word, and they both have a musical context. The first one's a short poem. You know it's love. You know it's love when if the music stops, you don't hear it and you don't think about putting the needle back on the record player that you just fixed at the vinyl shop, just opened in the old town square where you have coffee every morning, double espresso, half calf, to sip with her across from you, watching your eyes move and lips, mouth, bowels of constant love. Thank you. This next one is set in a French cabaret, Café de la Paix. He made it to the cafe, but late and she's left. His song singer's absent, so he asked for one ballon of rosé, pretty in the mirror and sweet on the tongue, like the first time she sang to him. He wishes he heard that cabaret voice, whiskey and now, crooning to him like a lost Juliet Greco, as he watched her eyes behind the blue smoke of the gitan she blew before the next inhale. Quiet he is, all mind and body, sitting under a fire lamp on the pavilion. From this spot, edged by tear-up pots of orange trees, he's chosen to study the zinc bar where they'd bumped elbows after a set, and he whispered to her a lyric in Iowa English. Is it true, on n'oublie rien? She poured more water into her pastis, then said, it is true, monsieur. We don't forget anything. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's anyone here who hasn't read other than Bob Whalen, please send me a private note. And while I await any of those, let's move on to Bob. Bob, thanks for waiting and being so patient.
Yeah, sorry, I was late. People are talking about the weather. I'm out on Cape Ann that sticks out into the ocean in Massachusetts. and the snow is coming sideways, and we've got gusts up to 75 and 80. So the power has been in and out, and I apologize. With that in mind, I've got a couple of snowy winter things here. I'll start with this one called Winter. Pulling up my collar against the stiff, icy wind, only my joints are stiffer. Coat buttoned tightly to my neck, a scarf for added security. Shedding self-consciousness, I yield to the inevitable. Brimmed hats with earmuffs, mittens rather than gloves. There's no woman to impress, no career requiring a cultured image. Conversations are with the crunching snow beneath my feet, speaking the only footprints along the path to my door, saving only those marking the passage of an invisible mailman delivering medical bills, a holiday card from an insurance company, or circulars to be used as tinder to start a reluctant fire. The atmosphere seems thicker, almost like water. Its density enables light to flow, rendering the edges of things more precisely, sharpening boundaries, intensifying focus, magnifying clarity, allowing the pristine perception of every individual breath. Silence can be heard in the white noise space between the whispering impacts of numberless snowflakes, ending their descent to the cold earth. Each one different, each one fragile, each one drifting. And the other is a bit of a parody. I suppose you'll recognize it. Waking by the words on a snowy evening. Whose words these are, I think I know. The name is in my contacts, though. He will not see me waking here to watch the words display and glow. My little phone won't think it queer to call without a voice to hear, because the words make devices quake, their insistence in the evening clear. It rings its bells and starts to shake. I wonder if there's some mistake. The annoying sound disrupts my sleep with the noises that its vibrations make. The words are shallow, hardly deep. Yell of appointments I must keep. And now awakened, I can't sleep. And now awakened, I can't sleep.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you, everybody. I'll finish with a real quick one. I'm just so happy everybody stuck around. We did go 15 minutes over. This is an early poem that I wrote. It's called I Found. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I thought I might take the opportunity for all of those who have remained. I'm a member of the Robert Frost Society, and our 2022 poetry contest is open. There's a $500 reward. There's no entry fee. And if folks want the information, they could get me at rockportpoetry@gmail.com.
Thank you, Bob. And also, if you think about it, swing by and drop a note on our Facebook page after this video gets posted, so we all have a reference point to go back to if we don't happen to have a notebook handy. Okay, I want to say thank you to everybody who came to the poetry event today. I'm going to read the poem that got cut off at the end due to an internet malfunction. We lost connectivity here due to the weather. Because a lot of this particular poem's work is done in the line breaks, I'm just going to go ahead and share it. So I found her in a rocking chair. I found her waiting like a sagging doll placed in a chair's embrace, but ashen and crimsoned, drying in the raisioning sun in that long hour of dusk, with her heavy shadow stretched wetly like a great black yawn tethered to her rocking chair. She was an empty jar, devoured complacently, fed into despair, but not decently, no, and without courtesy, no, without fanfare. She simply gave in to the longing to leak out under the pergola near our garden daylilies. She enjoyed being there amongst the spinning pinwheels, waiting for me to return home. I broke it to her the night before she died. I swaggered in, still sweating syllables of prose and confessing till she cried. She wilted near the garden, tilted in a rocking chair with her eyes open. Okay, we'll see you all back in February. I think February the 26th at 1 p.m. is going to be the next poetry event. I hope everybody enjoys this and comes back to visit. If you have any questions or comments, please send me an email. I look forward to hearing from all of you again soon.